sun. Look how. God,
Wow, man.
I was in the sun.
Hey,
I'm
they're
doing-
opening the barbershop tomorrow, so
I know.
I'm
Look
shaving
at my
and I'm
hair.
cutting my grass,
Me
my
too.
hair.
Well, that's
Pelo.
grass. Get to take out your chest.
Yeah,
Mira.
también, me
Look
rasuré.
at
Yeah, también las nalgas y la espalda.
That
All
means
right.
his ass and his
Nah, joking,
and
I'm
his
joking.
back.
But I'm cutting my hair and I'm shaving tomorrow, so I'm excited about that.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of R-Rated Christianity. Thank you for joining in. We hope that you'll do us a favor and yourself a favor and just share. Please share. And
we want to
get-
have a conversation, so please not only like the video, share the video,
Yeah.
but make a comment. We want to hear your comments. We want to create an atmosphere of conversation, because remember 2 weeks ago, Tyler and myself weren't very on equal page as you in regards to the use of your beautiful poetic words,
The slang?
descriptive words.
Slang.
Anyway, but it was awesome because people were
Commenting, yeah.
they were commenting. So we want to do that. So today, Charlie, put the title on the front. We're talking about something very simple. Very simple. What's the title? Can you put it on the top?
Simple but not easy.
No.
Simple but not easy.
It's mental. Sí, ese mero.
It's not.
What are your thoughts on hate speech? Does it exist? Is it a real term? It's a psychological manipulation, or is it something that we need to address? Is there something that we're not seeing? What is your comment, your opinion on hate speech? When do you think that word started appearing?
With hate speech? I mean, hate is in the Bible, Proverbs 6:16.
No, yeah, but the phrase, somebody putting the idea of hate speech, because something that you see today, there's a lot of terms that mean a lot of things, and people don't know exactly what it means, but it's just thrown out there, like a calzón, right? Like a dirty calzón, and you're like, oh, they never really take time to say, okay, what is this? But we just know it provokes some emotions in people, and then they use that to
Well,
promote
what
something.
constitutes hate speech? And look, I'm gonna be asking for your indulgence and your grace today.
Why
Because-
grace?
Because I mean, I get real passionate about this.
You were pissed today.
I was pissed. I'm gonna try
Hey guys,
not to
I'm gonna
drop
tell you
any
something.
word. I mean,
Look,
I walked in
okay,
this
before
joint
he starts, let me tell you
pissed.
something about Nico and some of you guys out there. I text real calmly. When Nico texts you and he reads something, it's in his brain. You communicate information sometimes, but sometimes you communicate tone, right? And if this was a 3D phone, you would get Nico's text with fire, brimstone, like
man.
3D piece of caca or whatever. I don't know. Like, he's intense. So that's the way
I'm
you
passionate.
text.
Not
Yeah.
emotional. I'm passionate.
What's the difference?
The difference. Emotions you can't control. Passion is control.
But you came in
It's
here not
fire.
being. We couldn't control you. You were running
Well,
up
no.
and down.
No, I wasn't. Don't get all
Yes, you
jacked
were,
up.
bro.
No, I
You
wasn't. I was talking.
You were cussing at beautiful white boy Tyler.
I cussed at him, not to him.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's a
so we're good.
difference.
We're good,
Yeah.
Tyler. I'm defending you.
He's
But anyway,
beautiful.
so he's very intense. I'm using that word. This is a lawyer, guys. You need to understand this. I have a problem with my English, right? So I'm trying to get words that make sense. But then I'm talking to a lawyer. So when you talk to a lawyer will cut every single piece of information. Okay, let's go to this word and then this one, and how is this related? I'm not thinking like that. Most of us are not thinking like that. So when I say Nico's intense, you probably understand what I'm talking about. It's not a bad word
Passion.
for me.
It's passionate.
But he calls it passion. He's intense.
Well, Saulo's intense. I mean, the guy's all over the place.
yes,
And
I'm aggressive.
You don't need Coke.
Oh,
You don't need.
no, not
you
at
don't
all.
need caffeine.
What-
You don't
Coke.
need.
Sorry.
Yeah, no,
I like, let's make it clear.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, got
you
it,
don't
got
need
it.
anything, man.
Yeah.
The guy's bouncing off the walls over
Yeah.
here.
So we want to thank people logging in. Julie, thank you for your first comment. Evening, gentlemen. Thank you. Linda Lozano,
Julie's
hi. How
always-
you doing?
always
Betty
on.
Cardenas. Betty, I'm sorry I couldn't go to Dallas this weekend.
I'll
I
be
wanted
there.
to go.
I'll be going. I'm
Oh, you're
leaving
gonna go?
tomorrow. Yeah, we're gonna go.
Why didn't you tell me?
Well, you didn't ask.
There we go. Good answer. Anyway, I got this weekend. There's work to do,
Russ.
and then first Mother's Day for us.
I know.
And I haven't seen my family, so.
Yeah, man, praise God. It's a beautiful
Bro,
day.
you know what I felt? Talking about emotionalism. Maybe it's not emotional, but I got pissed at COVID 2 days ago.
At COVID,
COVID, the
virus?
idea and all that stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm like, I have my thoughts on what's going on, right? Some is real, some is exaggeration, some is all that. But I was driving on 410, and I started thinking that because of all of this, my parents
Are not gonna come soon.
haven't carried my baby
Yeah.
since he was born. They haven't
But
carried him.
but if you don't, after thought and wisdom and research and prayer, you don't have to buy into the crap.
Totally.
I mean, if your parents want to come over and hold your baby and you guys are okay with it and they're okay with
Yeah,
it,
totally.
then you pray about it.
And that's what I
you
was
just
talking
do
to
it.
Candace about the other day, that now the information is so skewed that we are bowing, surrendering to a lot of lies. There's some truth out
Yes,
there.
yes.
There's some real facts out there. But
That's
there's also
another show in itself.
Yeah, and there's a lot of exaggerations and lies, and we're surrendering to a lot of things.
Right.
And it's stupid. So I'm driving on 410, and I'm like, this is gonna be the first Mother's Day for Edith. My mom and my dad and my cousins, my nieces, haven't carried my baby.
Yeah.
It's all because of this. And I felt like this, bro. I'm like, gosh, I said this stupid COVID. And I'm like, dang.
But it's not. It's not that when people say like, "Oh, so and so happened. I lost my business." Because no, we didn't. Nothing happened because of COVID.
No,
it's
no,
a virus.
yeah.
It doesn't have emotion. Doesn't
Yeah.
have what we call mens rea. The virus isn't trying to do anything. A tornado does what a tornado does. A virus acts the way a virus acts. You have to
Yeah,
educate yourself how viruses
Yeah.
and the immune system of the body acts. How to treat a virus. Every virus is a little different. What the strain is like. So educate yourself. But it's our hysterical response, or not response, reaction to it
Yeah.
that is causing all these.
And the problem, Nico, is that this COVID thing is happening, and there's two things. We need to be cautious. We need to investigate. We need to do our research. There's also the aspect that maybe, I don't know about where you fall into this. There's a point that you got to be considerate of other people. Regardless.
We should always be considerate.
Always.
Yeah.
Regardless sometimes if they know all the facts. For example,
Okay.
if you're in a group, and let's say, I'm just going to exaggerate to prove a point, but let's say you're in a room, and this COVID thing is not real.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's like 0.00001 mortality rate. Let's say.
Well, we have a .000019
I was
here.
trying to exaggerate to.
Well,
I
it's
was
actually
I-
true.
yeah,
Okay, go
anyway,
ahead.
so there's nothing's going to happen statistically wise, numbers wise, reasoning it. But there's a few people that are just over concerned and scared of it because they're not informed. And you come in there and I'm like, okay, maybe I don't agree with everything, but let me put a mask because I'm considering their emotions and their heart at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I struggle with that. Where's the balance there? How do you deal with that?
Well, I avoid the situation. Like I won't go to Costco. My wife goes to Costco. My
You
wife-
won't go?
I won't go to because they make you put on a mask.
And you wouldn't wear a mask?
No, I've never.
Why?
Because I mean, if you talk to certain medical doctors, PhD, and you look at the science behind it, a mask is not. I mean, their opinion, other people's opinion, not Nico LaHood. I'm repeating it. That the mask is actually not good and can be harmful.
So let me ask you this. Okay, sometimes we all.
Because how them? I mean, if you know, let me tell you. And I watch because I listen to some of these experts, and I watch people with their masks, and they take their mask off, and then they adjust it, and they move it around, and their hands are all
And they touch their
dirty
face.
and crap,
Yeah.
and we touch our face thousands of times or whatever
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
a day, and they're adjusting, and if it's not fitted right, and then you're breathing in whatever you have, and then what you're breathing and cycling in, and then the experts can explain it a lot better than I can. Dr. Mikovits and Dr. Batar and all these other doctors that are finally coming out, and they're talking about it. Even George, George talks about it. We were on another podcast last week and we talked about it. And so, and then they pull it down and they talk, and then their nose is not in there. I literally went to a what is it called, Discount Tire last week, to check on a low tire for my wife's car. And these young people, and they're just following protocol.
Yeah.
They got grease all over their hands, and they're doing what
But
they're
with a
supposed to
mask.
do. No, but they got a mask on, but then they put the mask down and they're moving it, and I was like, "What are you guys doing? It's an exercise in nothing really. I mean, do you really think that that's saving the world in San Antonio?
So let me push back on you. Okay,
push
okay.
all you want.
So for example, I understand what you're saying about that the mask will do bad or whatever. You think it would do that much bad if you put it on for 5 minutes to go into Costco just to be considered
Principle. It's principle. I won't go. But there's other options. I have options.
So the principle of it's wrong is
it's not principle. I don't believe it's necessary.
Okay, so
and I don't like the mandated part. It was
So that's-
it was fine 2 weeks ago when I was doing all the Costco shopping, and literally 85 to 90% of people had masks on, but I didn't, and that's cool. I'm fine with that. You want to walk around with a body condom, as I said last week, do it. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
That's your right to do it. But when you say you're going to mandate that I have to do it,
So that's the principle-
without the science, without the data backing it up, without the hard objective data, not subjective, not agenda driven. I'm talking about objective scientific data evidence that I'm used to looking at. I won't do it on principle.
Again, so I'm asking
on
you.
principle.
I understand what you're saying,
Okay.
but you wouldn't come into a situation and say, you know what? I understand that there's ignorance, like you're saying, but I want to be considerate of their emotions because they don't know, and I want to maybe consider that moment and say, you know what? Let me put a mask for a couple of minutes
No.
just to be considered. No, really.
Because I don't have to go. Well, I mean, there's nothing to be considered if I have a choice not to go.
So you would decide not to go because you don't. Your principle
Yes.
of your idea of
There's other options.
really.
Yes, brother. Now, look, I do another podcast called Sidebar with Nico LaHood on Saturday mornings, and it's at iHeart Studio.
Yeah.
Now, they have a policy in their
promotion, by the way.
building, right?
Yeah.
They have a building. Now, I walk in, it's supposed to, I mean, it's such a ridiculous rule because you can put a bandana on. So you put a bandana on with it open, I could walk in like this, and you're fine.
Yeah, once you-
But then once you get into the studio, you take it off and you talk like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. It's just it's a band-aid to make people feel good versus doing good.
Yeah.
So it's better to feel good than to do good. That's not biblical. It's better to do good, and God doesn't give a shit about your feelings, by the way. He cares about your maturity. Different topic. We can talk about it
Well,
later.
he cares about
Nope.
the other
He
aspects.
cares
a little
about
bit
your
too.
maturity. I promise
He
you.
cares about the other stuff as
In
well.
this world, you will have tribulation.
Yes, you will.
Okay, count it pure joy when
He
you go
cares
through
all
trials.
of you,
and
about all
he
of
cares
areas of
about
you.
your maturity.
He doesn't
I
care
assure
about your
you.
emotions at all?
No.
Ever?
Nope.
Never.
Well, then say never. He cares about your maturity.
Also.
Show me where he cares about
Also.
your feelings. Just show me the Bible verse.
I don't know, but I do think.
Well, then if you don't know, don't say
do
it.
you have emotions? Do
I
you have
don't
emotions?
speak for God. I
do. You
do.
have emotions?
I
you
do.
think God cares for your emotions that you do
I
have?
think he cares about my maturity more.
And more. Yeah, I'm not saying more. I'm saying he does care about your emotions.
He does not care about my emotions.
At all.
I don't think so.
Oh, what? I think you're wrong. But anyway, continue.
Show me the Bible verse. that
No,
I'm
no,
wrong.
no. But I do think I think he cares everything about you.
Okay, I believe that, but we are not our emotions.
No.
See, okay, then that's my point. He cares about you, your
I
mind.
have emotions.
I understand that emotions is a symptom. That's not who you are.
No, not at all.
If he cared
But I have
about
emotions.
if he cared about your emotion, he would not warn us that shitstorms are coming.
Yeah, of course.
So he doesn't care about our in this world you will have tribulation, but have heart, I've overcome the world. Count it pure joy when you go through trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance, a shitstorm, finish its work so you'll be mature and
Okay.
lack nothing.
Let me stop
Romans
you there.
5,
Let me
3
stop you
through
there.
5. 2 Corinthians 4:17.
Hold on.
I'm not
Isn't
finished.
I know, totally. I know you're not finished.
Why are you touching me?
Okay, because I have my mask on. I'm joking. Anyway, so let me ask you this. So those verses are
Yes.
to address some aspects that when we're seeing life, our emotions get riled up.
No. Well,
Yes or
yeah,
no?
well, sure. Your
Of course,
emotions
right?
are symptoms.
So he's
right.
telling, exactly.
Yeah.
So he's addressing those symptoms, telling us a verse not to be over emotional,
Right.
because he cares about those emotions.
But if he cared more about the emotion, he wouldn't even have those verses because you wouldn't go through that, and it would be this peachy key, kumbaya.
But- and if it wasn't important,
prosperity,
he wouldn't,
gospel life.
he's addressing that because our emotions are messed up, because he cares about those as well.
Not as much, not as well.
So
I'm
you
just saying.
So you just agree he does care about
No,
emotions?
no, brother, I'm not. I mean, where is there the coochie coo Jesus?
No, I'm not saying you're taking it to an extreme.
No. But what I'm saying is, you haven't given me one Bible verse. I've given you 8.
But you just gave me those verses.
I understand that, but those are not about your emotion. He's warning you that shitstorms are coming
and
in
it
life.
will affect your emotions.
And no, it affects your life because it can derail you.
Totally
if
because of
you
your
don't-
emotions.
No, because of your ideas.
Okay, let me
because
ask you
if
this,
you
okay.
think, because what's one of the objections to Christianity?
Oh yeah, guys.
Ask him,
Yeah, we're having this conversation because I think we live our lives and sometimes emotions get the best of us.
Edith, look at Edith.
What are you saying? What happened to the story about when Nico got there? Oh, I'll tell you a bit. Thank you, babe. You see my babe puts me in
good,
check.
baby.
Okay, let me get the comments here. Thank you, girls. We're making a lot of noise. Thank you. Anyway, what is the name of the radio show I heart?
A sidebar.
Sidebar.
Nico.
Hi, Sergio Morales. We are not our emotions. Thank you, Debbie. We're not, but we have them, and God cares for them.
I understand.
Saulo 57. I agree with Nicholas Lahoud. Who's the guy on the left? I like him. Thank you,
Saulo.
Carlos. What's left? What's right? Oh, I'm on the left. Oh, that's horrible. I'm joking. Donald
You are
Vormaker. Is this about hate speech or wearing masks? Both. That's right,
Hang
brother.
in there, Donnie. Hang in there, buddy.
Yeah,
We're getting there.
that's right, brother. Your Christianity maturity is what God is after. Wake up. Lost the live stream. Why did she lose the live stream if she's still there?
Here's the example I give people. So when and then we'll get on to the hate speech, guys. But we go where the conversation leads us, where
Yeah.
the Holy Spirit leads us, and that's what I love about the
Or our
dynamic
emotions lead us. But continue.
between where the facts lead us.
Yeah, because we have emotions and if
So
we-
so,
yeah.
so Maya does jujitsu. You know that. When she first started competing, our oldest daughter, I mean, she'd be on the mats, and I mean, there's boys holding her down, kneeing her, choking her out, arm bars, putting pressure on her. And one time she got off the mat, she was crying on one of the breaks. I go, mi amor, what's wrong, baby? She goes, papi, I don't want to do this anymore. I go,
She was
why?
sad?
Her emotions were sad
Oh.
because there was trial and
But if you
tribulation.
let your dad, you
Hold
try
on.
to help her in that emotion. But
No,
go continue.
guess what I did?
Okay.
What do you think I did?
You addressed that situation
But
because her emotions were
hold
bad.
on. How do you think I addressed it?
You told you to suck it up.
Exactly. So,
Perfect.
so I said, get back in there. I
Because
love
you
you.
cared about her emotions.
No, because I cared about her maturity.
Totally.
Because she's her maturity, because she's going to go through tougher things in life than that.
Totally.
And I wanted
I
to be
agree.
prepared. But if her emotions took precedence, then I was, oh, pobrecita, poor little Maya, come over here, sit down. Sorry, Coach, Professor Jason, we're going to leave. I'm not going to do it. Poor little Maya's crying a little bit. No.
Yeah.
I put her back in there with love. I said, I love you. This is better for you. You're going to go. And now she's a tough warrior, and she still gets injured and this and that, but this is life. There's going to be chingazos in
But
life.
again, I think it's weird.
I'm still
because-
waiting for a verse.
No, okay. So you're talking about a situation. So you address your little girl because you saw her emotions out of whack, right?
I saw her emotions dictate her behavior, and I
Yes.
didn't want that to happen.
Oh, you didn't want that to happen.
I didn't want her emotions
So
to-
you gave her an order because you were
So-
worried.
so-
Okay, hold on.
Okay, sorry.
You were worried
I'm just trying to
that
get to
her
hate speech.
emotions would take her to a bad place. Because that happens to a lot of people, that our emotions take us to a bad place. And I'm agreeing with you that God wants our maturity. But he also says, you know, your emotions are wrong. Here's some verses to also address your
You
emotions.
should have been a lawyer. No, because if he worries about your maturity, your emotions don't control your life. Because if her emotions would have ruled, she would have got off the mat. If our emotions rule, we end up in a divorce at some point, right?
Yes.
If our emotions rule, then we don't be good daddies. If our emotions rule, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
We make crappy decisions, shitty decisions, and that's not what it is. So I'm still waiting for a verse, but we'll do it maybe next time. We'll get a verse next time.
Yeah, I
Hate
got the
speech.
Quran,
You
but I
just
left it
get-
in my car.
It's all hate speech.
Yeah.
It's all
It's
hate
all
speech.
hate speech
It's
right
all
now.
hate speech.
Okay, so we're going to
Son
get
of
into
a
hate
bitch.
speech. Charlie, we were going to put a promo. We didn't put it on time. Give me the other promo. What happened today? And this is why Nico came in with his emotions all messed up. We're going to pray for him in a bit. Okay, this is what happened today in San Antonio's court. Resolution being voted on by San Antonio City Council this morning, labeling terms Chinese virus and Kung Fu virus or the Shanghai shivers as hate speech, and all persons are encouraged to report any such anti-Semitic, discriminatory,
I don't know
or
where
racist
anti-Semitic came in.
incidents to the proper authorities for investigation. They're calling you saying these phrases
Hate speech.
That's just
But let that sink in, guys.
Yeah.
Let this sink in, and then they're encouraging you to call it in. What does that remind you of? Does that remind you of Germany? The idea that you're encouraging people to self-police, that's what's happening with these damn masks. I mean, you literally, you know why I won't go into cause? Because people, they do this to you. Like, as if looking at you is going to get you this damn virus. It's ridiculous. And then if you don't, and then why aren't you wearing a mask? A buddy of mine almost got in a fight at Whole Foods because he got chewed out because some dumbass is telling him he should be wearing a mask and can't tell my buddy why he was wearing a mask. Because they said to wear a mask. Because government wants to become God. And so what we wanted to talk about today is what's hate speech, and what are the biblical concepts on this, and what does virtue mean, and should we be policed by the government? And big government means small individual, and Christianity talks about a big individual and a bigger God, and there's individualized salvation. It's not group salvation. And so we just got to dissect these things and understand why this is a big, I won't use the word I want to use, it's a big deal, man. This is a big damn deal, and we have got to wake the hell up. And
It's
the
a
church,
precursor to what?
it's a precursor to making the individual smaller, because if they can go after hate speech, think about this.
Yeah.
And they're preparing this. First of all, it's a bullshit resolution. It's not an ordinance.
Yeah.
It has no teeth. So
Well, explain that for
Mayor
people that don't know.
Nuremberg and all city council, with all their weakness, and I know all these people, and I'm not taking a shot at their character, but they're weak. This is a Band-Aid, and it's a political move to make people feel better and to fit in with the religion of leftism and this ideology that's antithetical and opposes Christian values, by the way. And so they're trying to make the person smaller and the government bigger. And so it's a resolution, thereby this, and whereas this, and whereas that. Sounds all official, doesn't mean jack shit, because there's no penal code behind it. It's a resolution. It's not even an ordinance.
Oh,
So it has no
wow.
teeth to it at all. Period. End of story.
I was asking Greg today about why would somebody, because there's somebody there that I thought he was going to vote differently, right?
Who did? Just say the name. I don't give a damn.
What was the name? He was here last week, Charlie? I can't remember the name. The guy that was here last week. He was with Greg. Anyway, I thought he was going to vote different. And I'm
Perry?
Yeah, Perry. I thought he was going to vote, but I told him, why would somebody vote like that? Because I want to learn. I want to learn perspectives. And you just said that this has no teeth. So sometimes you're like, you know what? It's not going to do anything. Let's just vote for it. Whatever.
But why acquiescence? Why give in? Because you're feeding. Let me tell you what I tell people all the time. 80% of sexual assaults are committed by someone that the victim is familiar with. Notice what I said, familiar. They obviously don't know the person, or they wouldn't know that they would commit that sexual assault, and they wouldn't let him in.
Thank you, Nelisa.
But the person's familiar. So he's like, oh, how close do they let me get? And where can I get alone with them? And, oh, yeah, I'm fine here. And, oh, yeah, come on, Freddie or Billy or whatever, or Susie, you're cute, whatever. And, okay, and little by little, familiar, then one day, wham.
Yeah.
And so stay in your house. Shut down your business. Wear a mask. Don't be around your family. And in some states, we're going to take your kid away from you if they're sick. I mean, have we lost our minds? I'm trying not to drop an F-bomb, but I promise you I would say it, but I'm trying to respect kindness. No, bullshit. I mean, and this is some serious shit. And then pastors, and they sit on their ass, not all of them, they're coming for your sermons. Wake the hell up.
They
They're
already
coming
did
for
that in Houston.
They already
Sometime-
did it
some
in Houston.
churches in California.
So we know this already. It's like, I see no evil, I hear no evil, kind of like, was it Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes? I'm aging myself now. That's a long time ago. I'm 47.
Right after Bambi.
Yeah. I mean, so, and like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear it. Maybe they won't come for me. Bullshit. They're coming for you. And so it's almost as if this religion of leftism that's antagonistic to the Christian worldview is saying, be familiar with government telling you how to live your life. Be familiar with this. Be familiar with that. G.K. Chesterton, and George goes off on this, has a wonderful phrase and a wonderful, he goes, if you want freedom, build a fence. I was like, what the hell are you talking about? If you want, he was a wonderful philosopher, apologist, Christian writer. If you want freedom, build a fence. Fences have posts, right? And there's, so if you, what are the pillars in a fence? The Ten Commandments, which build up the virtue of the individual. And so and our founding fathers wanted a virtuous populace, a society that was virtuous, that treated others a certain way based off a moral compass, because so government doesn't have to play God, right? That's what our founding fathers wanted, a virtuous society. And when you're saying this is hate speech, don't do this, don't do that, don't go to church, don't do this, wear this, don't wear that, we're going to come get your kid. If you don't do this, mandatory vaccines, you can kill the kid up until the day of birth, but once the kid's born, the kid belongs to us. It's bullshit. It makes no sense. There's no logical consistency, and it's all antithetical, antagonistic to a Christian ideology, which is the bedrock of this country. Whether people like it or not, don't buy into it, but it's a fact. George and I are going to be teaching, I think it's May 16th. If I got the date wrong, we'll remind people. We're going to be teaching on Christian foundation in this country. And is this a Judeo-Christian country in foundation?
Yeah.
And we're going to dissect it, and it's fascinating. And a lot of it's parlaying off of the work of David Barton from Wall Builders, who's a
So what you're
great
saying
guy.
that it has no teeth. Why would
The resolution.
The resolution.
Yeah.
It's a resolution. So how does that come to being? What's happening behind the scenes there? You know, like, hey, we need to create a
I don't even know how
resolution.
this came up. I
Well,
really
like,
don't.
how does
I mean, I don't keep up with their crap that they do. I mean, I don't know how it came up. I don't
Greg's
know.
there. Can we ask him?
Who?
Greg's right there.
Yeah, ask him. I don't
Greg,
know.
come here. Greg, come here. Just got to ask you a question.
How did it
Bro,
come up?
He's saying that a resolution has no legal teeth, right? How does a resolution just come up? Like, what do they do? You know, I'm like, they're in a room. They're like,
But
you
like,
know,
like, do you know the history on this? Like, what did
You got to get home. The wife is
Go,
waiting.
go,
I'll
yeah,
put
yeah.
a resolution of the divorce.
our masks
no.
are clear, guys.
What's
Our
it?
masks are clear. Yeah, the
No,
resolution.
but what I'm saying is
How do
do
they
you
come
know the
about?
history behind this? Like, why did they pull this stunt? I mean, what was
look,
said?
this isn't the
Did
first
someone
time.
say something, or what? How did this get on their radar?
No, they know they create. When you can start the infancy of policy, right? Because you know the difference between policy and resolution. Resolution is, hey, this is what we believe.
Yeah, fluff.
This is what we think.
Right.
It's personal. Sometimes it's very morally driven.
Well,
right?
define
They're
morals,
morals.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
morally driven. So you can pass that legislation almost to a point and say, hey, look, we believe it. Actually, it's not legislation. You can
Right.
pass the resolution and say, we proclaim this, right? We proclaim we are blank, blank, blank. That resolution then becomes in the future an idea that seedlings its way through a council committee,
That's what I said.
A precursor.
right?
Yep.
Through a precursor, and then if someone says, you know what, we could use a reporting system and a fine,
That's right.
because how are we going to tell somebody you can't say kung flu, right? Okay, if somebody says kung flu, we should be able to find that person, and we should be able to turn him in,
That's right.
him or her in. So what do we got to do? Then it goes to a council committee, and they sit there and say, okay, well, let's create a reporting system, and then it has to be codified in law, because we can't find somebody just because we don't like
It's
them.
got to become an ordinance or something else.
It's
or
got to be codified.
Right.
So this is Nico's zone. So for it to become codified, I got to create a law, right? I got to create a mandate and an ordinance across. Boom.
Give it teeth.
So you've gone from
But they're trying to familiarize people with it.
Get used to
Greg,
it.
you didn't hear
Get
me
used
because
to
you were
it.
driving by, walking by, sorry, is that 80% of people that are victimized by a sexual assault are someone that they've been familiar with before. 80%. So it's almost as if they're trying to get people familiar with something like this restriction of rights and telling that your speech is...
Who doesn't disagree with racism? I mean, really? I mean, I don't. I mean, I think it's horrific, right? We don't want that in our community. And by the way, none of this is reflective of San Antonio. And I say this 100 times over. That city council today is proclaiming to the world all this anti-hate, anti-Semitic, all this stuff. It doesn't exist in San Antonio. And if it does, look, it exists in every community. I'm not going to say
Individuals,
racism does.
right, but not as a
Individuals.
collective whole.
But as a collective whole, that is not San Antonio. They do not represent us, nor does it look like us, nor does it sound like us presently or in the future. It's not us, period. But laws passed, but we see from other cities, become laws here because we feel like we have some moral obligation.
Well, it
It's a
seems
moral
like our
document.
city. It seems like our city council is playing copycat. You know,
All the time.
The mayor made it onto CNN, and that's like his claim to fame. Maybe I have no idea. And Ron's welcome on this show. I know him. I'm not saying he's a bad individual.
Somebody talk to him, please.
I think his policies suck, and I can't stand reactive and anything that identifies with a leftist ideology that's antagonistic, because we know how they treat Christian organizations. I mean, the Spanish flu, is that hate speech also?
Well, Spanish flu,
MERS.
Charlie, look at the
MERS.
graphic, look-
Zika.
Look at this graphic.
Middle Eastern.
Look at this graphic. Look, Charlie.
The
put it
graphic
on.
is great.
Put it
That's
on.
a good
Yeah.
graphic.
Yeah, look at this. I cut it a little bit.
Oh, yeah, cut it down. Why'd you cut it down?
Yeah, look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, German measles. There you go. Spanish flu. Asian flu. Oh God, can you believe? Hong Kong flu, 1960. Zika, from Zika. MERS, Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome. And a buddy of mine reminded me today that was called the camel cough. And now I'm
Yeah.
Lebanese, so I have permission from
You have
whoever
permission.
Hey, what about the camels?
Well,
So-
it doesn't matter.
so you know-
I mean, West Nile, yeah, Chinese flu. This is ridiculous.
We can't even have
Great.
we can't even have a pandemic without being
Political. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we can't even have a disease running
Bullshit.
rampant through the country without being something racist or
Racist,
pen.
yeah, like-
But people should know, and someone commented it a minute ago, I saw it on there, about fines and levies and fees. A resolution is toothless.
Absolutely.
In amongst
No
itself,
penalty?
it's
No
no penalty.
No penalty, Daddy.
But in itself, in amongst itself, it's toothless in the now. In the future,
They're
when,
setting it up.
when you're setting up something. So you remember a long time ago, and I'll leave you with this one, and I don't
Yeah,
want to
get to mama.
But remember when we did the non-discrimination ordinance, the NDO 5, 6, 7 years ago, about trying to codify this alleged hate speech for the LGBT community? We know that the LGBT community fought for that, and I'm not here to litigate right or wrong on that. But what happened was they passed a resolution first.
That's right.
And then they passed and said, no, we need to put teeth behind it.
That's right.
It's because
right.
there's anti-LGBT behavior in the city. Yes, there is.
Yes,
right? We
Well,
know
there's
that.
anti-Christian behavior too.
It's anti-Christian
They're
behavior.
both wrong.
But and this is good. It's a good topic for the debate. They implemented a system where you can report people.
Yep.
You can fine people.
That's exactly right.
And guess how many cases they had? Goose egg.
Really, I didn't know that.
Nobody used it.
Interesting.
Why do you think nobody used it? Because it's not an issue. Like you can create a pandemic of fear. And they portrayed us as this anti-LGBT community that needed to happen, and it was a political tool for people to get promoted and move on. But that was a perfect example. Now you come to this. Come on, man. I don't know where the anti-Semitism piece comes from.
I had no idea where that came
I have
from.
no
either.
idea where that comes from. I have no idea where the the anger towards Hispanics out of it came from. It literally says Chinese flu, and then they were quoted as saying we need to find ways so that people can turn people in.
Yeah. I'm telling you, this is why it
That's the
reminds me
danger.
of Germany. It's a mindset. It's getting people familiar with this. It's redefining terms. It's making the individual smaller. It's making government. See, when you don't have those fence posts, I don't know if you heard me say this, Greg, G.K. Chesterton says, if you want freedom, build a fence. And those pillars that hold up a fence are ideologically the 10 Commandments. Because when you don't have those pillars and those big laws, then government fills in with 1,000 little laws and tells you what to say and how to do it and what to wear and where to go and what means what and this means this, and they get into your mind. Because there's something in criminal law, you heard me say this before, both of you guys, called mens rea, the mental intent, the state of mind, the criminal intent of the person. Not every killing is a murder, and the intent matters. The circumstances matter. Killings are killing. Thou shalt not kill is thou shalt not murder when you look at the ancient Hebrew. Ecclesiastes 3 says there's a time for everything under the sun, including a time to kill, never a time to murder. Proverbs 6:16, God hates the spilling of what? Innocent blood, not blood, because Joshua killed a bunch of people, Canaanites were killed, David killed Goliath. I mean, there's a lot of killing in the Bible, but God never ordains murder. Context matters. Redefinition matters. This city council redefined invocation a while back.
Oh, we
Remember,
had
they got an atheist. Remember?
I was sitting on the council. I'm on the council, and I'm sitting in the corner, and up comes an atheist to pray.
Yep, I remember.
I was like, why is the atheist doing a prayer of invocation? And then he
remember.
proceeded off on some
How does that
netherworld.
It was a declaration.
Yeah, it was insane. It was a declaration. It was a declaration.
But the question was, how does something like that start? For example, you're going to have an
It's
invocation.
because they're the values. It's the value system of who you're dealing with, and values are being removed oftentimes from politics right now because it's easy. Once you can get down to this nuts and bolts thing, like I can turn you in and fine you, because I don't think I like the word you said. And here's the scary part: the Constitution is a funny two-way street, right? You can use it But at the same time, what you're using, most likely, you can point it right back at yourself. So, for instance, you could say, man, I don't think you have the right to say that. And it's my right to tell you that blank, blank, blank. But the truth is, that right is, I mean, somebody could be screaming at you the exact opposite of which you 100% hate. Like, you would defend, you would give your life. But the Constitution is telling that you have the right to say what the hell you believe and think.
Yeah.
Look,
To a pretty big extent.
Yeah, this is not an open paintbrush, right? You can't yell the classic example,
Fire,
in a movie theater, or if cops are coming, hurry up, Greg, shoot them, shoot them, shoot them. Well, under the law of parties, I'm responsible too. But if Black Lives Matter can say pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon, if some dumb dick KKK can say something stupid and say something hateful, but you can't act on it. You can't do what you want. But I protect people's right to share their thoughts.
No matter how stupid it is to you,
That's
they can
what
say
this
it.
country
That's the beauty of
was
this,
founded on.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, I would protect someone's right to say something stupid and let logic and virtue weigh it out. Because if we're a virtuous people that have a moral compass based on something greater than ourselves, which is a transcendent law given by the Creator of everything, then we police it. We police it because nobody gives them that attention. To your point about the NDO, it was self-policing. Now, whether you agree with the lifestyle or not from a biblical mindset is completely different than loving on the individuals and accepting them into our society as individuals.
Have you thought
completely different.
Have you thought of V for Vendetta? During this time,
This
the
is
guy,
what's
the
happening.
government
It's
says
1984, man.
we gotta teach them why they need us. He keeps yelling that, and I'm like, dang,
Well,
that's
look,
what the government is doing.
You got to be very careful, and what I would encourage everybody to always do, no matter where you fall on it, is to continue to watch, right? If you continue to watch and pay attention to these things, you're going to recognize, like nobody knew this was coming, yet this was on the agenda as early as Monday. So the way nobody said it. It wasn't even on the news. I was cruising for the answers in the final vote days. But even the media is complicit in pushing a progressive or social agenda, right? So it's all playing together. So all you got to do is just pay attention, stay involved, know what's happening at least, because I guarantee you, that's not my San Antonio, right? They can sit there and say, and if you read the proclamation, I encourage you, for somehow or
Yeah,
another,
look it up.
find the
You can look it up.
proclamation and read it. You're going to be like, what the hell city is this?
Yeah.
Like, where is this happening in
That's
San
not us, like, that's
Antonio?
not us,
Like,
yeah.
this doesn't sound like San Antonio. This sounds like Germany in 1941, 1939. It doesn't sound like we need these things in 2020 San Antonio.
But
they're-
the definition of hate speech, I mean, where does it end? I mean, I'm telling you, where does it end?
doesn't.
I mean,
It ends
goes,
at the-
it goes towards
there's no end.
sermons. I mean, and equally,
It's a
look,
setup.
in a mosque. I mean, they preach certain things. Their hadith and their sirah and the Quran has certain beliefs, and I passionately disagree with the Islamic worldview, but we can debate that and talk about it. But still, I don't see the attacks on the Islamic worldview. I mean, be careful the world you help create, because someday you might have to live in it.
and our politicians, defending China. I'm sorry.
That's ridiculous.
This is not a time to defend China. They've obviously hidden facts and information. Do we know where the coronavirus started? Nah, we'll figure that out over time. But defending them and then hurting your own country in the process of doing that, I think a lot of people are getting exposed right now. And our local leaders, the best we can do, just watch them. Because this kind of crap is going on and it starts as a tiny thought.
But people need to get involved.
Becomes
I'm going to
becomes
tell
a law.
people this. I'm going to say this. Being in politics myself, Greg was in politics. Less than 9% of people vote for the mayor and for city council. Only 33% of people vote in general elections. 33% during presidential or gubernatorial years. 10% people vote in the primaries, roughly, changes a little bit. But 33% out of all registered voters vote. I mean, get involved. Whatever you're at, educate yourself, be able to answer why.
Okay, let me interrupt this moment to say, get involved. This guy said we were in politics. Maybe we need to say you guys are going to be in politics to change it around. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. You see?
I know what I know. I can't say I'm going to go get some blank food on the way home. I'm getting some beef and broccoli.
Chinese food.
No, I can't say Chinese food.
Wow. Chinese virus, China virus.
No Chinese food.
I mean, this
No
is
Chinese
stupid.
food, people. It literally, if you play it out, okay. I'll leave you with this because you're big on this. The logical conclusion to this is what? Boy, that is a scary thought. Because if you use logic and reason wrapped with the law, right? All these things are playing together. If you follow the argument logically, it falls apart almost immediately.
Well, all leftist ideas do.
So,
yes.
but to them, it ends somewhere, and that's what we.
It ends in control and making the individual
Yeah,
smaller.
that-
That's right.
it ends
and
in
government,
small-
government becomes God.
And what better time to see how far you can take people's constitutional rights
then
than
during a
during
nice trouble.
a national crisis.
Yeah, of course.
Or a perceived national crisis.
They're already soft.
All
Thank
right.
you, Greg. Thank you,
All right,
Greg.
God bless you. Give your best.
Man,
Give
this
our
guy-
best to your wife.
it's kinda weird
Hey,
'cause
go
it-
back to Brittany real quick because I hate that we
Yeah, I know,
forget
I know,
some
I saw that.
comments. You see that? I want to make sure
Can
we
you
answer
roll it down,
people.
Tyler? It's right here. I got it over here, Tyler. I got it over here. I think.
Sorry, we're gonna kind of jump in there and
I
make
took
sure
a
we
screenshot.
respond. Okay.
Brittany says, "I understand that extreme left and right are both trying to control everything. I'm not okay with that. But other having God-fearing people in the government, which will probably not happen. What is the realistic solution, and who should guide us during these difficult times?" Let me ask you this. Okay. Let me ask you this. I love what Brittany is saying. Brittany, thank you for participating in this, because my heart's the same as yours. When I talk to people in leadership and business, I tell them, I never want to bring a problem to you that I'm not already trying to create a solution to fix the problem. I don't want to bring a problem to your, hey, look at this problem. No, I want to bring, here's a problem, but I'm already starting to help you with a solution. As Christians, I never want to be that, right? I'm like, oh, this is wrong, I hate this, those guys are stupid,
Right.
Tyler's messed up, Charlie's pants are horrible. I'd rather say, you know what, Charlie, don't wear those skinny jeans. I'm starting to buy you some shorts. What, like something like this, Nico, what can we do? Because I don't want to come here and say, these people are stupid, because I also believe that I have to protect free speech, even if there's somebody out there saying things that I don't like. Because of the United States, I got to say, you have the right to say that, even if I don't agree.
That's right.
Because it goes both ways.
That's right.
But what can we do to fix this or address this?
We have to train our citizens up. We have to train our citizens in civic, in our history. I mean, and then also in the biblical principles that govern this country.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a fact.
Yeah.
I mean, and George and I are going to teach on this, and the letters, and our civic government was set up on Judeo-Christian principles. We know that. John Jay, I'm going to read a quote from John Jay. John Jay, just so you'll know, like John Jay High School, was the first Supreme Court Justice of the United States. Let me read one of his quotes. This is one of many quotes out there. Providence had given to our people the choice of their rulers. It means God gave us the choice. And it is the duty as well as the privilege and interest of our Christian nation to select and prefer Christians for their rulers. Why? Because of free agent. You repent for the Lord. You're a new creation. These are individual concepts between you and God. You're going to stand there in your judgment day. Now, if you have bigger individuals, then you have a safer society.
Yeah.
Because we are all virtuous people, and our
Yeah.
founding fathers wanted an educated populace and a virtuous populace. Benjamin Franklin talks about this over and over again about wanting virtue. And let me give you a great definition of virtue, and it's not my definition. George shared this with me a long time ago, and I forgot who the author is. George will remind us. Virtue is moral action based on duty to oneself and to one's fellow man. What does that sound like? Let me say it again, and then let's look for a biblical verse.
Yeah.
Moral action. This is virtue. Moral action, definition of morals, what's the definition of right and wrong? Moral action, what's right and wrong, based on the duty to oneself and to one's fellow man.
Yeah.
Gosh, that sounds like Matthew, right?
Yeah.
Matthew 26. So what does it say? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't give what you don't have. So love your God. We get our identity and all our moral values from a transcendent rule. And then we love our neighbor as ourselves. That's the definition of virtue. This is
Yeah,
a biblical
yeah.
definition.
Yeah. Look at what Brittany's saying.
What is she saying?
I don't know who she's talking to, but better be careful, guys. Or Jimmy Crackhorn Mayor might come get you for violating the 6th rule and no masks.
Shit.
Hey, look at this guy. Look at Chris Cano says, Ron Nuremberg called me fat.
Well, I would
Okay,
say
but hold on.
you're just not skinny, Chris. What are you
No,
talking
no,
about?
it's interesting because
He
if
did
it-
call him? Did he really call him that?
Yeah, but the interesting thing is
Why?
we need to protect speech. You know why? Because if Ron Nuremberg says something like that it's true, even if he doesn't like it and it's true, it's okay. Okay,
Well, how can he? So Ron can call. Did he really call Chris fat?
I don't know. Maybe
Chris,
he
did he
just
really
saw-
call you fat, or are you joking?
Yeah, but even if it's true, it's okay.
Well, yeah, of course, well, brother.
Exactly,
yes.
exactly.
I mean, if I say that you're shorter,
Yes.
you are.
Yes.
You're hairy.
Yes.
I mean, this is the way it
Yeah.
goes. What are you
'Cause
gonna do?
Chris-
Sorry.
Chris may be fat.
Shave your chest.
Even if he doesn't like it, we need to protect free
He's
speech.
heavy. He's heavy.
He's heavy. Yeah.
Heavier.
Yeah. Stomachally inclined. I bet I do, but everyone is saved. Not everyone is saved, and our government needs to work for all and protect all citizens.
Well, hold on. Who said that?
Brittany was telling Donald.
Brittany, you're right. But see, that's why. But Christian principles elevate the individual, because a Christian mindset says even if you haven't accepted Christ as your Savior, you're a creation of God. You have the imago Dei in you. You have intrinsic value. You have inalienable rights, not extrinsic rights, innate rights, rights that government didn't give to you. You're not valuable because government says you're valuable. You're valuable because a creator said you're valuable. Inalienable. We can't separate you from them. That's why we believe in the human exceptionalism, the imago Dei, why we're not the same as animals and horses and dogs. You can be an animal lover, but they are not human beings. There's a complete difference. We have consciousness, we have diversity, and God loves that. We are his creations. Now, whether we're his children or not, Romans 8:14 governs that. Romans 10:9, when you believe in your heart, profess with your mouth, then you become adopted into the family. Romans 8:14, we can call him Abba, Daddy. He is our father because he creates everything, but we want to call him Daddy because we're adopted. That's a theological discussion we can talk about later.
And Nico, speak to this, because let's say they're coming against Christians, or not just Christians.
Well, yeah, they are.
Well, yeah, but hate speech, right? They're trying to limit speech, right? Stuff like the Chinese virus, right? But am I right in saying that if somebody starts saying or coining the phrase stupid Christians, idiotic Christians, I need to, as an American citizen, need to protect the right of them saying that, right?
I have no problem with people saying
but yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Call me a stupid Christian. But here's my deal. If I walked into court and said, if I did a Joe Pesci, everything that guy said is bullshit from my cousin Vinny, he's like, okay, say that, but why is it bullshit?
Yeah.
Or you're guilty. When I was a district attorney, so and so's guilty. You think I can get a conviction because of that? And what if I say you're guilty and I start calling him a bunch of names? Wow, I'll be laughed out of court. We're coming to bring the case that so-and-so is guilty of this crime, and here's all the evidence. And if we don't prove it to a standard, not just any standard, beyond a reasonable doubt, then a jury comes back with a not guilty. Now, as a defense attorney, I'm policing the police now. I'm making sure government doesn't overstep. I'm holding them to a certain standard, and I'm policing them to make sure that they don't have the God complex and that they're limited. And that's what I'm a legal bodyguard now. I mean, so the role is different, but the principles and the moral compass that govern me, whether I was the district attorney or whether I'm a defense attorney, are the same. I just have a different role, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And I think as Christians or God followers, Jesus followers, I think it's difficult because we gotta submit to the government. Speak to this. We got to respect the government because a government
called to Romans 13.
Yeah. But also we got to defend people and the body of Christ. How far is too far?
In what sense?
When is, for example, like somebody was saying it a while ago, well, it's the government, that God told us to obey the government. You know, we just need to submit because they're telling us to wear masks.
Yeah, but to what extent?
And that's what I'm asking.
I mean, to what extent, to where whenever there's a biblical principle that there's deception, God can't stand deception. Me and a buddy of mine and George got into a wonderful discussion, and if we want to dissect Romans 13, George is pissed off that he can't be here tonight. He really wanted to be here for this, so I told him that we'd throw a bunch of softballs out there, hopefully wet your beak, as we used to say in the old days, and then next week we can go do a deep dive, me and George, on this stuff, because it's important to dissect Romans 13, the Imago Dei, why this matters, how biblical principles affect this, and what is this familiarity that this movement is trying to do to the stripping away of rights and making the person smaller and not acknowledging the innate value that we have outside of government giving it to us.
Let me ask you a weird question.
A weird question.
What? Because you get frustrated. You came in very passionate, very emotional.
Because it's a big deal.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
But anyway,
That's a big
what
deal.
would it take for somebody like you to get back into politics because of this? Because of this, I know it frustrates you, but check this out. There's not that many people. Sad to say, maybe I'm just judging with like you said, that horribly judging. But there's not a lot of people that have your knowledge and your aggressiveness needed for this. Like, for example, I don't agree with everything Trump does or how he does things. I don't.
But you like his courage.
I like his. When he won, I told people I don't agree with a lot of things he does or how he says it, and you get embarrassed. I'm like, please, bro, don't talk like that. Don't say that. Some of his policies I don't agree. Some I do. But then I would say, but we just needed a badass. When you were a kid, when you were a kid,
That's good.
You loved your dad, but sometimes your dad said, "Shut up," because I said so. Go into your room, right?
Oh, yeah.
And there was order. And I think the United States was going so many places. Trump comes in and says, you go to your room. I need to fix this room. You shut up. Maybe he did it in a weird way. Our dad felt weird when he talked to us like that, but he was getting stuff done, and he did it well. That's Trump.
Yeah.
I think today, because of today, we're so soft and everybody's like a snowflake. I think we need aggressive people, intense people or passionate people.
Yeah, we need passion.
in government, and
We
we're
need
not
courage.
having it.
Courage is a word that's not used enough anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
Courage is
what
not
would it
used
take?
in the church.
What would it take for me to say, you know what, Nico, what you're saying is right. Let me see it. What you're saying is right. Let me see it because of this.
Let
you know
you
what's
see what?
Let me see you get involved because of this. Because of this.
I've done my tour, man.
Yeah, oh, you're done.
No,
Because
no,
I'm
no,
telling
but-
you
but
this,
my wife
it's gonna
decided to give
happen
me the green
again.
light.
We're gonna have this program again in a couple of months because somebody out there is gonna make something stupid. The church or these guys. What would it take somebody like you to run again, to get involved, to do?
I would be obedient.
Because
to
Greg's
God.
got my vote.
Because who?
Greg's got my vote,
Oh, well, if he runs, that's fine.
and you would have my vote. What would it take for you to do something?
Yeah, well, it would have to be. I would have to know that the Lord has given me the green light, like He did the first time, and that would be something that's between me and Him. He'd have to make the circumstances just to where I would have a burning bush, like I did the first time. Number one.
You require a burning bush.
Well, from the Lord, because I want to make sure I'm obedient. You don't want to fit a circle in a square. It's got to be God's will. My focus for the last 6 years of my life, at least, as I've matured in my walk, has been obedience. I want to be obedient, and that means notice the word is obedient, not comfortable. Obedient, not an easy road. I want to be obedient to God.
Got it.
So that's number one. I always tell people, I was talking in the men's Bible study yesterday, that you're building up your resume for your last job interview when you stand before the Lord, and you're making either deposits or withdrawals into your spiritual bank account. With all you do, whether it's one person or 1,000 people watching you, the Lord's always watching, and your level of commitment matters. And so obviously I would need to know that the Lord has given me the direction to do it.
Well, JC is already praying. Guys, pray for 10,000 bushes burning outside of Nico's house.
I don't know about that.
Please.
Not literal, because then I'll shoot your ass.
Or
But I mean,
the God may shake his emotions.
yeah. Well then, but I also need the green light from Davi. You don't get into politics.
Which is more powerful? I'm joking. I'm joking.
The Lord.
joking.
But
Yeah, I'm
Davi
joking.
submits herself to God
Yeah,
also.
I know.
Look, let me tell you something. My wife, I want to honor my wife. She never complained once. I mean, I was literally gone 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. I missed
And 4 kids.
I missed weight and one special needs child, and that matters.
Yeah, totally.
That's not I don't want anybody's
Yeah,
sympathy.
yeah.
It just matters. It's
Yeah.
a lot Davi took on. She never complained once. I missed too many bedtimes. I missed too many homeworks. I missed too many. And even when I was there, I was distracted because I'm dealing with all the crap and the shit that happens in this county. I was on the phone with the chief, the sheriff, the feds, whatever, working on different task force, the 46 law enforcement agencies, 200 prosecutors in that office, judges, you name it. So I was always being pulled away. Davi, because she knew that I was being obedient to God. I'll never forget. I'll tell you the green light that came up. So I was going to do the first time. I go, Chula, what do you think? I don't know if I should do. I'd leave the house. I'm going to run. I'd come back. What the hell? Why then? I was effing this and that. I can't believe I was even thinking this. And she
I
would
was
just listen.
emotional.
I was like, I can't believe this. I was going solo on myself. And so then I came back and forth. And I did that over and over again. And I said, Chula, what do you really think? Do you think that Diosito, do you think the Lord is speaking to you? And she goes, whatever you decide, I'll support. And I was like, well, shit, that wasn't earth-shattering. The sky didn't open and the dove and shit on my head and tell me she's telling you the right thing. And then one time, time went by and I fasted. George and I talked about it. I fasted. I prayed. I said, Lord, he's never early, but he's always on time. And it was really coming to a cutoff point. And I came back home, and we have a loud home because of the kids and Michael when he's stemming. And I looked in her eyes and I said, mi amor, I need your attention here. I go, what do you really believe the Lord is telling you? And it was like that silent, and it wasn't silent, but I didn't hear anything. She looked right in my eyes, and she goes, I know your heart, and I know you would do what you would do for the people. I can see you as the DA. That was it. I never questioned when the shitstorm. I never looked back. It was done, and then I ended up winning. She gave me the green light. So I would need to know.
So
that
guys,
the
stop
Lord,
praying for Nico. Start
Pray
praying
for
for Davida. Start praying for Davida. Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna get into the ring again. It's just a matter of when, not if. We just gotta pray for timing.
Ooh.
Oh, I will.
So you're
I don't know
telling
for
me there's
what.
a chance. Anyway, guys, thank you very much.
Dumb and
Fast and
dumber.
pray in the quiet place. Thank you, Victoria. They did wrong. They did you wrong when you left, says JC.
It's okay.
Edith says about your wife, she's amazing. Such a rare
Thank you, Edith.
gem.
Thank you, Mama.
Thank you, hermosa.
So are you,
Dale.
Mama.
Yeah, she's amazing. I don't know if my son is listening to me right now, but hermoso. mi
Don't
huerco.
cuss.
No, I can't cuss. Yeah. Passion and courage. No more weakening of this country. Anyway, God speaks in all still quiet. God speaks in a still quiet voice at times. Art, thank you for your prayers. Man, there's a lot. It's already done, man. We're already, it's 9:37
Well, we
already.
got a couple more minutes, but it went by quick.
Very quick.
It went by
Very-
quick. Look, guys, I mean, here's the deal. Proverbs 1:7 says this. It's very clear. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Some verses say knowledge, but wisdom. Remember what wisdom is. See, we don't have a knowledge problem in this country. We have too much knowledge, and some of
Yeah,
it's bullshit
yeah,
knowledge.
yeah.
It's just crazy knowledge. It's not
Yeah,
real.
yeah.
We have a wisdom problem. We don't have enough wisdom.
Yeah.
What's wisdom? Wisdom is the practical side of problem solving, right?
Yeah.
Wisdom is knowledge plus understanding. That gives you
Using
wisdom.
it.
You've
using,
got to be able to
using
understand that.
knowledge well.
That's right. And
Yeah.
so you have to understand. So you can have a photographic memory and memorize something, but if you don't understand what you've memorized and what you know, well, then you can't apply it, which
Yeah.
is the practical side of problem solving.
So
and we don't
yeah.
have wisdom.
So today you came in pissed, riled up because of this.
yeah, man.
Because the city council passed a resolution, like you said, that did not have any teeth.
Because about
But-
China virus.
Yeah.
Chinese
But-
virus.
But the reason
China
it
virus.
shook us up
Real quick,
is
let me make sure that China virus.
Wuhan virus,
China virus.
Shanghai shivers.
Shanghai
Shanghai
shivers. is
shivers.
funny.
Thank you. Second.
And
son
look,
of
I mean,
five
I trained martial arts for decades. Literally, I'm 47 decades. I've been around Asian people. I've trained with traditional martial arts. I mean, I have friends that are Filipino, Japanese, Chinese, Taiwanese, dirty knees, you know, I mean, you name it. I got all the eases in my life. I mean, and when I grew up, we were talking about this
Yeah.
don't forget to tell your story about me walking in. But I mean, we made fun of our Italian friends. Our Italian friends made fun of the Mexican friends. I'm
Bro.
Lebanese. I was called a raghead, a camel jock, you name it. I mean, all kinds of stuff. We had our black friends we made fun of. We had our Jewish
Hey,
friends we made fun of.
what's the stereotypical for a Lebanese? Like, for example,
Camel jockey.
What is that?
Camel jockey. Right?
Camello? Andar arriba
Camel.
un
Like
camello?
camel jockey, raghead. I mean,
Really?
just, yeah, it's different things like that.
To me,
It was funny.
yeah, it's funny, and I think we've lost that. That I think most people have, not that they're racist, but have some ideas of other races.
Let me tell you this, and I've shared it with you and Tyler. Charlie, well, no, I don't know. Don't tell Charlie because he's
He's too-
distracted with his skinny jeans. Go look up the old Don Rickles
Yeah, we're talking about
roast.
it. We're talking about it.
Dean Martin roast
Yeah.
with Don Rickles. He was brutal,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he was hilarious.
Yeah.
But he was always gracious.
Yeah.
He always finished his roast and his cut downs and his racial slur. He made fun of Wanda, Red
Yes, Eric.
Fox, all the black,
Yeah.
all the black entertainers,
Yeah.
Jewish entertainers, Italian entertainers, Polak entertainers. He made fun of all of them, but at the end, he was always loving and gracious, and everyone that knew Don Rickles literally adored him.
Yeah.
Because they knew his heart.
Yeah.
And we have lost that. That's why even Bill Maher, who I disagree with him on everything but 3 issues that I know of, he is passionate about the First Amendment speech
Yeah, yeah.
and free speech because he's a comedian.
Yeah.
I mean, you're cutting him off at the knees. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got to be able in lightheartedness, and even if it's not lightheartedness, even if you have a bad heart, that's up to you. You have a right to say your stupid
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
God will work it out with you.
Yeah.
Virtuous people will ignore you and cut you out, and you'll be quarantined yourself because you're rotten inside. But if we don't have a standard that the community can judge that in, and we have big government telling us what to think, what to do, and we haven't bought in, but we're going to be obedient little sheep. I'm only a sheep to Jesus Christ. That's it. I'm not
Yeah.
a sheep to anybody else.
Again,
and our
people-
government
Yeah.
wasn't set up to be that way.
And I'm not about revolting or anything like that, but just the fact that the government's telling you you can't say this with something so simple.
Well, they're getting into your mind.
Yeah, of course, but they're starting. I think Democrats, Republicans need to wake up because, like Greg was saying, it goes both ways. It can backfire to anybody.
But think about how we redefine this. So the classical liberal, we say when you're talking about a leftist, we say liberal. Don't insult your liberal friends. A classical liberal believes in limited government. Live and let live. I disagree with what you're saying passionately, but I will fight hard for your right to say it.
Oh, say
That's the
that again. I love that.
I
love that phrase.
disagree passionately with what you're saying, but I will fight to the end for you to have the right to say it. That's what a classical liberal stood for.
Yeah.
So liberalism is not leftism, and I refuse
There was more
to interchange.
it was more connected to liberty.
What do you think these colleges,
Yeah.
liberal arts? What the hell are you talking about? And then the idea that colleges are cutting off speech, that should scare the hell out of you guys.
Yeah.
This is what and a Christian is a champion for truth, is a champion for the Imago Dei, is he a champion for a transcendent moral compass, for virtue, on that vertical relationship
Yeah.
and that horizontal relationship as well. But this one determines this one. That's biblical concepts. And so we've got to fight, because if they can tell you what to say, and they can tell you how to treat your kid, and they can tell you what to jam into your kid, and then they can come get your
Why
kid.
did you say that? Inject into your kid.
Well,
What did you-
mandatory vaccines. Don't
Okay,
get me
got it,
started.
got it.
We'll talk
Yeah,
about it
we'll
at
talk
another
about it.
time.
Yeah.
But I mean, then they can come get your kid and take your child, and they're already teasing that idea
Yeah.
in other states. Let me tell you something, and I want to be really clear about that. If some son of a bitch comes to my house to jam something in my kid or to take my kid based off their bullshit, I'm telling you right now, you better bring an army with you. That is something I will die for. I will die for that. I literally will die for that. And you should too. That's where you draw the
And
line.
you're saying that as a Christian.
That's exactly right. Because Jesus said, if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. Luke 22:36.
Say that again. Say that verse again. Sounds
Jesus said, if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. Wow. I mean, look, David didn't ask Goliath to give me his head. He chopped off his
beautiful.
head.
Here's some flowers.
Well, please take your head off for me. Look, I'm not saying, look, I temper myself to God.
Yeah.
But passion is something that we need. Courage is a word. 2 Timothy 1:7, you do not have given a spirit of timidity. We're not called to be doormats, to be Christians. We're not called to kumbaya ourselves, oh God, and this pacifism bullshit is not biblical. And George and I addressed it, I don't know how many episodes ago. Now, we humble ourselves. We're not just wild pit bulls. We're samurais. The samurai was meek, Matthew 5, right? Humble and gentle, but not weak. A samurai and a true martial artist, and I grew up my whole life since I was young training in martial arts. A true martial artist is humble, gentle, but vicious. I want my kids, and you should be a monster, but not act like one. And that's what you're training up to do, spiritually and even physically if you have to. But humble to the Lord, humble to his will, waking up and say, Lord, what does it look like to put a smile on your face today? And sometimes it's like Jesus when he knocked the shit out of people in the temple because they were dishonoring God and using it as a house of thieves. And other times he said, let the Father forgive them for they not know what they do. The woman at the well, she was banging all kinds of guys, and he says, go and sin no more. If you knew who was giving you water, you would not thirst before. Jesus, the human being, fascinated me when I was going in my journey to him. I mean, Jesus was rough, man. He was rough and tough. He was not this sheep and kumbaya and pat kids on the head, baby Jesus guy. He was rough and tough, but he was perfect. And I love him, and I just follow him.
You just
every day.
mentioned a classical liberalism, and we've known that the meaning of some terms have changed in our culture, and maybe we need to get back to our conversation we had have that conversation about your exit out of the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Because it has changed. It's not the same Democratic Party
It's not.
of a few years ago.
It's not,
and
brother.
you exited out of it.
I did.
And I think we have to have that conversation
We'll
because
do it. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
We're going to
Because-
talk about Jesus and politics, and
Yeah.
that's coming up.
Yeah.
George and I teach on that. It's important. Was Jesus the most famous politician ever? Did he deal with politics with the Sanhedrins, the Sadducees, the Pharisees?
Because a lot of people, when we make that program, a lot of people said politics and
You were there, right? Did you show up, or you didn't go to that one?
Which one?
The one when George and I taught on
No,
politics.
not that one.
Okay.
Not that one. But when we talked about politics in the podcast, a lot of people are like, you can't mix politics with religion, and I'm like, oh my.
That's not true. That's not biblical.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
crazy.
Jesus dealt with it
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And think about, and I'm going to tease it a little bit. What is politics? The original word, the root word, the Greek word. It just means the affairs of the
pueblo.
city. It means advocacy. So what are you advocating for the affairs of the city? Let me be very clear. We are called to be salt and light, and we're called to go into all the nations and make disciples of all men, teaching them to obey all that I have commanded. It's Matthew 8:28. Matthew 28, sorry, not 8:28. Matthew 28. It's called the Great Commission. Every Christian has that duty to do that. Now, how you do it matters. You don't want to be like these dumbasses, the Westboro Baptists. They're not Christians, they're idiots. Send them the video, you can tell them, I'll tell them myself. They're not Christians. I'm talking about humble, gracious, courageously going out and teaching people to obey all. How do you do that? Because you meet them in their mind. You reason with them. You model it. You be the fifth gospel. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and you, the Christian, is the fifth gospel. Live out the word. Be persuaded by it so you can persuade others. There's so much to this, right? But that's politics.
Yeah.
Because if you're not persuading someone, folks,
Yeah.
they're persuading you. And if you're quiet, then they won.
Hey, Nico, before we go,
Yeah.
if you get to your house tomorrow morning, right, and there's like 20,000 burning bushes outside, and Davida's like, baby, run, Forrest, run, besides DA, because you were DA for how many years?
4 years.
4 years. What would be another position that you would run for? That's just like,
I don't know. Maybe some type of policymaker statewide, state rep, state senator. I don't know. But not federal, because federal Congress. Every 2 years, you're always running. I
too
can't.
tiring.
Yeah,
It's
I
tiring.
can't be
It's
away
tiring.
from my family
Yeah.
right during this season of their life. I mean, Maya's 11, Michael's 9, and Davi and I, we've really spent a lot of time and
Got
sowed
it.
into him. And it's just a lot. It's challenging, but it's rewarding at the same time. And then Leah's 7 and Zyther's 4, and so. And then my wife. I need to sow into my wife. She's number one.
a more important question.
Yeah.
Are you going to let Scyther's hair grow again?
I don't know. It's up to Davi. I'll do whatever.
Really?
She, yeah.
Oh, man, you have beautiful hair.
Remember that hair?
Oh, I loved it. Loved his hair.
bad.
You have a picture? Man.
sorry, dude.
How old is Scyther?
4, Daddy.
4 years old. He had an amazing,
He had a big
beautiful
old
hair.
moño.
You know what? I was telling Edith that we're not gonna cut our boys' hair
gonna let it go?
until he's like 2 years old.
I'm
That's
get
gonna be
ready.
amazing, bro.
Here
I'm
it
excited
comes.
about it.
He was-
Matt Goody, one of the most amazing basses. Sometimes you can play very good with a lot of thing. He's got groove. Oh my goodness! Put it on. Look, Charlie. Lower the aperture. Lower the aperture.
This is Zeither with his dentist,
Oh my
Damon Ross.
God. How old was he
Great
there?
Dentist. He was. Well, this was a year ago, almost a year ago.
Put
So
it right
he
up.
was
Look at this. Look at this sight there. Look at his hair. Put it right in the middle. In the middle. Put it on the rail. Focus. Oh. Wait, hold on. Leave it there. Leave it there. Charlie's gonna fix the autofocus. Look at that sight there. Bro, you were darker, Nico. Not joking. Not joking.
That's our kid's dentist, Damon
Wow,
Ross. Great
Damon,
guy.
yeah, amazing
Damon,
photographer.
Damon.
Damon's
Is he?
an amazing
Oh yeah, he is.
photographer.
He's a
Yeah.
better dentist, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, that's that hair.
That's
So that's
awesome.
gonna be up to Davi.
Our liquor stores and vape stores, truly essential. Why are they open? Okay, we're not gonna get into that, but you know what's so funny? It's so funny that they're telling us to. No, wait. It's social distancing, right? Social distance. Okay, fine, 6 feet. But they're telling everybody at one time to go to HEB and Walmart like never before. You're like, okay, nobody get together, but at one time everybody's at Costco. That's the only place they're at. I'm like, and nobody, cash register people are getting sick. It's just like so.
Well, think about it. Hold on.
Weird.
We'll end on this, but daycare centers. How are you social distancing 5-year-olds and younger? You're not. But where are all the kids from daycare centers being sick? Where are all the daycare center workers being sick?
I don't
Where
know.
are all the
We-
healthcare people
yeah.
giving their?
That's another topic. Anyway, we'll talk about it
You
later.
started it.
Guys, thank you for your hate speech. Defend it. Defend others.
China virus.
China virus.
Virus from China.
What was it? Shanghai shivers.
Shanghai,
Kung Fu,
that's funny,
Kung
man.
Flu. Anyway.
That's kind of funny too.
Okay, that was.
What is it?
I
But,
don't know.
the
There's
list
another
you
one.
had up was really good.
Put the
about-
list back. Put the
the
list
list
back.
back up. We're gonna finish with that and why this is so ridiculous.
Let's finish with
and,
the
and
hate
we have
speech.
to look for logical consistency and the law of non-contradiction.
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense compared to all
German measles. We were so racist in 1914.
Yep.
Spanish flu. Asian flu.
Asian flu?
Kung Fu.
Hong Kong flu and man, a lot of flus from
Zika. MERS.
Eastern that's the camel cough. As I
Yeah.
said,
West Nile virus.
and the Chinese
Man,
flu.
Chinese flu. Hey, bro, you know what?
It's
I just thought, yeah,
ridiculous.
Charlie. What about Lou Gehrig's disease? Poor guy.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
no.
I'm joking.
Saulo always takes a chinga. Always
Lou
to
Gehrig's
another
disease,
level, man.
Man.
Always to
Somebody's
another
gonna
level.
Get sued. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining us.
Guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Next week, we're going to have another great conversation. We really appreciate you taking the time. I hope you're blessed by this. We're going to keep you updated. George and I, when he finishes, he's going to be on break from his schooling starting Monday. So we're going to have him for 4 more weeks.
And
Let's-
he's going to start a church with all that knowledge. And this guy's going to
Don't
run
tell him that.
for politics.
I don't know
Thank
about that, but we're going to start another podcast at some point. When George is ready, it's going to be a deeper dive, a longer podcast. I understand that you can chip away at it, but we're really going to dissect. We try to honor the hour here, a little over, but this is going to be a deeper, like kind of a Joe Rogan style Christian podcast where we're going to have deeper conversations, and people are asking for it and messaging us, and so we're going to do that. So God bless you. Have a kick-ass week. Thank you for attending, and bless your families as well. God bless you.
you. Adios.